about our latest release, which is Expedient Enterprise Workspace. We have so much to talk about today. Real quick though, for those of you who are new to Expedient, we started in 2001 doing co-location. Today we have 12 data centers in 8 cities. In 2007, we released our virtual co-location, which has since evolved into our enterprise cloud. We've been doing virtual hosting about as long as AWS has been doing EC2. In 2015, we released Push Button DR to provide DR services for our customers who are starting to become more and more virtualized, which allowed for new capabilities like full network failover. In 2018, we released our enterprise cloud with a full HTML5 interface and REST API to provide a full cloud operating model without all the refactoring. In 2020, we released our cloud native platform to provide next generation application capabilities. So fully managed Kubernetes, application observability, and persistent container storage right on top of and next to your existing applications in our enterprise cloud. And in 2021, we've been focusing a lot on multi-cloud, from things like cost control and operations control to security control, all of the things that you need to manage and operate your clouds and workloads no matter where they are. And by the way, if you have any questions, please enter those down here into the Q&A panel. That helps me keep track of the questions and make sure that I get those answered for you. If you miss anything, you have to step away, or you want to show this to somebody because, hey, this actually solves some real problems for you. Please know that you'll get a link in your email. It'll also be available on our website, go.expedient.com/webinar replays, Instagram.com/_expedient, Twitter.com/expedient, LinkedIn.com/company/expedient, and YouTube.com/expedient. Go ahead and give us a follow because you would have seen us talking about this already. So we're kind of all still at home, right? I mean, I think this is my house, but we're all at home. And because of the pandemic, businesses were forced to figure this sort of work from home thing out. The problem is that work from home wasn't exactly planned. Most organizations said, okay, grab all the things that you can, just grab all of your stuff, and I'll come back for the monitors on my next trip. I gotta go. And there wasn't any real plan to that. How are you going to manage all of these devices and things that you may have in your home? How are you going to manage all of these things when they're not necessarily inside your 4 walls? But what we've all found out is that work from home actually worked. This is actually a real quote. Sorry, Sean, but this is a real quote from our CEO, Sean McGorry. When we were about 3 months into 2020, I think it was like June or July, he actually said on a call, he said, you know, I've been hesitant to do work from home and support work from home things because I think being in an office works really, really well. But I've been pleasantly surprised to see that we haven't seen any lost productivity. We haven't seen any loss in capability. We've been able to maintain operations as if we were all in the office. And this was actually really, really powerful for a lot of us who had been talking about work from home and enabling more work from home options to see full support from the top of our organization. A lot of this has to do with how collaboration got better. Collaboration tooling like Office 365, Google Docs, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, WebEx, Slack, all of these things got better. In fact, if you look at Microsoft's roadmap right now, you can go Google Office 365 roadmap, and Microsoft has their whole public list of features and when things are coming. 1/3 of the Office 365 roadmap is just Teams. That's bananas to me, because Teams was like, hey, we have Skype for Business, but it's not very good because it's just IM, and we want to kind of do some Slack sort of things, but we also have Yammer, and I guess just like in SharePoint, just kind of put it all together and make this platform. And now it forms 1/3 of their future roadmap. That's a huge deal. And what this has allowed is for workplace flexibility. I can go from my office at home to my office in our office in Pittsburgh. I can go on the road. I can have teams that are spread out across the country. And we've even been able to do things at Expedient where we have people in places where we don't have data centers, which wasn't necessarily a thing before. This allows us to go build remote talent, build new areas where we can start to develop business, and all through all of this flexibility that we've been granted by all of this work from home. So work from home's awesome, right? I think we all can agree. I could probably get some hands in the participants there in the chat to say how great is work from home. But work from home is not without its problems. We have data storage and compliance concerns. Things like I have all these devices that are in my house on my home network. They're not on our secured network in our office. These are on my home network. How do we prevent data storage or data loss from happening effectively at the edge? How do I make sure that everybody is compliant? There are physical security things to compliance. That door over there is an internal door. I just close it. My kids just don't come in. But how do I make sure that my office is deemed to be compliant? And then there's patching and maintaining a distributed fleet. A lot of folks had very straightforward ways of doing patching before. All of my PCs and desktops and laptops are all in our building. And so at 9 p.m. when no one's here, hit the upgrade button and everybody's desktops get updated. That doesn't work at home. You have to make sure that everybody has decent internet connectivity. Not everybody has that. How do you make sure that whenever somebody dumps a, I don't know, cup of coffee into their laptop, that they can get back online quickly? All of these things are very, very difficult to do when you're not in the office. And then there's even the latency and application performance issues. So think about how some of these apps were written in the 80s and 90s. They weren't built to have remote connectivity of varying performance and latency to connect to this application. They were built to run with everybody in the office and the application living in the data center, which was also in the office. And so this was never considered. Sometimes it just works, and that's great. Sometimes it doesn't. And this leads to massive challenges in how do you actually deal with the performance of your world. And then there's hybrid work options. How do I enable hybrid work as offices start to open again, as in-person work starts to happen again, as my sales team is out in the field talking to people in person? How do I enable hybrid work and a consistent experience across the board? How do we do that? And so we have to take a step back and we got to think about what solved this in the past. By the way, if you look at this list, this is the VDI talking point of the last like 5 to 7 years from various vendors like VMware and Citrix. And it's all done because they do solve the problem. VDI solves those problems. The problem with VDI is that it is a massive uplift to do so, right? If I just look at this entire list of things here, I've got a firewall, I've got a security server, I've got a load balancer, I've got connection servers, I've got a vCenter, I've got hosts. That's a lot of additional resources that you need to maintain throughout the whole course of maintaining your platform. And it's heavy. VDI doesn't just like put a couple desktops inside your virtual environment. It is effectively a second infrastructure. And so there's a lot of CapEx up front. If you're building it on-prem, you have to buy all the hardware. You got to buy all the licenses. You got to do all of the things to get it up and running. And then that requires a new skill set because you're kind of bridging the gap between your desktop support, people who are dealing with applications on Windows and driver updates and all the other stuff that goes into managing your desktop end user fleet, and server side, where you're managing a physical infrastructure with storage and compute and networking and scaling all of that and making sure that there's all of those resources. So it's a fairly specialized skill set. And we estimate that you need 1 to 2 FTEs to actually be able to run this properly. You can do it without that, but it's going to be painful, especially when you think about all of the additional maintenance that goes into maintaining these platforms, like patching, capacity planning, full version upgrades. How do I make sure that my firewall rules are in place, that my load balancing is good? There's just a ton of additional maintenance. And all of that is before you land your first user. So at Expedient, we try to solve problems for our end users. And this is one that they've come to us and asked for. Our clients have asked us, how can you help me do this? Because you do a great job with our cloud, but we still have all this end user stuff that we need help with. And so that's where the Expedient Enterprise Workspace comes in. It's VDI without the compromise. It's fully managed virtual desktop infrastructure as a service. This allows us to eliminate all of the upfront CapEx. It is pure OpEx. So you don't have to worry about, okay, I got to buy hardware. Okay, there's a 6-month lead time on switches, so it might be 6 months before I can even get this to start connecting and talking to each other. We can get you up and running right now with resources that we have on hand today. We also offer free sizing assessments and performance tuning with Lakeside software, where we can actually see what your end users are using and help you figure out what your pool size needs to be and how to make sure that your users have the best experience possible ongoing. There's a predictable monthly cost, just like all of our other platforms. You are paying for a set of resources and it's the same every single month. There's no egress fees, there's no data transfer fees. So you're able to get up and running and make sure that your CIO and CFO stay asleep at night. We also offer full desktop OS support for Windows 10, and we're working on Windows 11 right now. A lot of that has to come back to the platform that we're using and how to make sure that we can support that properly. But Windows 11 support is definitely on the way. I would like to figure that out as soon as possible because I want my own Windows 11 desktop. But all of this is based on an infrastructure and workspace architecture that is built to scale. This is all of the things that a lot of our users have looked for, they've wanted, but they've never really been able to pull off because it's very expensive to go build all of this infrastructure. Turns out running infrastructure for 20 years means we're pretty good at it, and that adding in additional hosts is not necessarily a huge lift for us. We've built this to be multi-tenant by design, and we're using the VMware Horizon DaaS platform. That is a service provider specific platform that allows us to provide individual tenants and share resources. So you don't have to go buy 5 or 6 hosts for your small pool. We can just provide the set amount of resources that you need to support your end users. We're able to provide that and build in all of the headroom and additional availability that you need from a hardware standpoint without you needing to worry about how many hosts you actually need. Just tell us how many desktops you want and we take care of it. This is also GPU capable. So if you need GPUs for CAD or high-end graphics needs, medical imaging, we can add those to our hosts and allow you to use that power to eliminate maybe the low-end desktops that you have or the workstations that you potentially have in those locations. We've also optimized the audio and video for Microsoft's Teams and Zoom. And what happens is the video and the audio from the camera and the microphone go directly to Zoom and back without going through the virtual desktop. So you don't actually see what's going on. And this is also available from anywhere. This allows us to jump through and get you online from iPads and iPhones on cellular networks. You don't have to VPN in, it's accessible. And this is all done with high frequency CPUs and all flash storage, so it performs the way your users expect. We do not want your users to have a slow or bad experience because there's corners that could be cut. And this is what happens in a lot of VDI environments. They say, well, it's VDI, who cares? Your users care. They're the people who have to use this day in and day out. And we can scale this all the way out to provide as much scale as you need for your desktops. But here's the thing. This is all very fun. Let's go take a look at a demo here. Got the wrong one there. There we go. Thought I had the tab open already. Did I type that wrong? That doesn't feel good. We're going to do that, and that. We're going to open that. No. We're going to fix this live. Anybody want to watch a demo? There we go. We got it. Share. That. There we go. Can I get some claps in the chat for fixing a demo live? Felt nice. So this is the Horizon Cloud platform. This is based on the Horizon DaaS platform that has the ability to do all of this multi-tenancy. You as a tenant would log into this tenant admin interface and have a set of resources available to you. And you can see how much of it is utilized, what's your top location by user. There's one user, that's me. So Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, top location. One of the other things that we can do is we can dive into the activity. So if you are an admin and you need to see what your administrators are doing, you can see your administrator status. So you can see that over the last week, we're doing some updates to desktops. You can see I was trying to build some Windows 11 support in here. So all of these tasks are available. You can export this report and see what your admins are up to. You can also see what your users are doing. So you can see when your users logged in, what users they're getting, what pools they're hitting, what desktops that they're all connected to, and again, export that report. So if you have maybe third-party workers, gig workers, contractors coming in, and you want to see when they're logging in, you can use this report to go do so. And all of these reports are loaded into a report view. So I can see where my desktops are mapped to. So I can see that I'm on this desktop and I'm the active user and I'm the one mapped to it. If I have other users logged in, I can see them here as active users, or I can see what desktop is mapped to what person. So if I have a pool of users accessing this instant clone pool, I can see who is assigned to each desktop. I can also see all of my agent versions all in one place. So I can see my Horizon agent, my UEM agent, and VMware tools all through one interface. So if you're an admin of a platform like this, this gives you a ton of information in a very simple way. So let's dive into what's called assignments. And assignments are effectively, if you're using Horizon today, this is like your pools. You can create pools around desktops. We can also do application presentation. We're working on full support for that. But if I go into the actual pool, I can see what the CPU and memory is here. I can see the actual and requested capacities, what domain they're connected to, what image they're using. And I can even go in and see the individual desktops themselves. And if I click on this first desktop, I can restart it, shut it down, power it off. I have full power options, but I also have the ability to do things like launch the console, and I can do Control-Alt-Delete to log into this desktop and provision it. Or I can see what's going on if a user's having a problem, and I can log in to see from a backend side, because this is the console session, not the actual user session, what the user is going through. So there's a ton of power in there to provide your users assistance. There are also help desk tools that you can use to actually get into the individual user session as well. One of the other things here that we can do is import VMs. So one of the things that I really, really love about this platform is because it's based on Horizon. If you're using Horizon today, you can bring your gold image as is, because we use the same Horizon agent and the same Horizon client to get to it. It is prepped the exact same way. So if you're an existing Horizon user and you would like to eliminate all of the overhead of managing Horizon itself, you can actually bring that in. And then once you import the VM, you can turn it into an image that can then be used to turn up an assignment. So you can then build out all of your individual images for things like, this is Windows 10 with Office, this is Windows 10 without Office, because I don't want to license those desktops for that. And you can also do all of those things through your tenant interface without having to jump through a ton of hoops around, okay, how much hardware do I have in this environment? What am I building here? You can also see full capacity view. So you can see how much of your CPU you're already using. You can see how much of your RAM you're already using. You can see how much of your storage that you're using, and be able to see how, okay, hey, I'm actually at 100% on CPU. I should probably go request some more desktops, or maybe I need more RAM, or hey, I have this additional pool of 20 contractors coming on board. I need to make sure that I have the additional resources available to do that. We also can connect to Active Directory. This is a way for you to eliminate going across the WAN to get Active Directory. We deploy Active Directory inside of the tenant itself. That gives you super fast authentication, super fast computer joins, so that when the desktops spin up, they actually spin up and land in the right OU, get all the right group policies, and are available faster than trying to reach across the wire to a domain controller that might be somewhere else. And there's also this really great getting started page. So if you miss anything, you can go back and figure out where it is that you missed, or you can go directly to it. Our delivery team also helps you get it set up with what are called desktop models. So it'll say, hey, this is 2 CPUs and 8 gigs of RAM, or 4 CPUs and 16 gigs of RAM. And then you use those desktop models to actually go do your deployments. And we help you all the way through every single delivery. Now, when I mentioned this whole Zoom thing, it was very fun because, one of the big problems that we run into is that if you look at this, on your screen, in fact, the screen share has stopped because I closed that window. If I share my whole desktop, this little Zoom cube doesn't exist. And that's because the optimization of Zoom and Teams means that my audio and video right now is actually going out to the internet. So if I actually share this screen, where's the share? There it is. If I click this button, you actually see that I have this running through a virtual desktop on my Mac, and you get this lovely Hall of Mirrors situation. But this is built to be able to support Zoom calls. I've done this entire webinar through our virtual desktop. That PowerPoint lived inside of our virtual desktop. This is a way for us to do this. I can even do things like the wave. You can watch me go all the way down. There it goes. So this is what our platform is capable of delivering. It delivers you a full fidelity platform that you're able to run off of without any sort of additional headaches or setup. It makes it super simple to be able to deliver your desktops to your users no matter where they are. Let's make sure we get this back here, then that, go. From a key differentiator standpoint, we have full AV offload for Teams and Zoom. We still offer those virtual assessments. We have GPU support available with full desktop OS support, no egress fees, a 100% SLA, and 24/7 all US-based support. This is a fantastic platform. And one of the things that I really love is that it's a way for us to do end user computing without necessarily flipping everything that we do. We want to be able to provide and extend beyond the desktop from a security standpoint. We have the capability, you've seen through all of our ransomware series and all of our security control talks, that we have security capabilities that are very difficult for you to build on-prem that we're integrating into this platform. So you can use things like our identity management, our multi-cloud firewall, our endpoint security to be able to provide a much more secure experience for your end users than wherever they are at their homes. It's an incredibly powerful platform. And when we think about this, I like to look at this slide and feel a little bit nostalgic because when we started the year, we just had the middle. We just had enterprise cloud and how to do cloud in a slightly different way than everybody else. But since then, we are now doing cloud different. We are now adding in our Expedient Control suite of services for multi-cloud management. That includes all of the security tools that we just talked about and all of the multi-cloud management tools. And then being able to assist end users with Enterprise Workspace and give them a secure and consistent experience no matter where they are, we are now able to go end to end as a full stack cloud service provider. This is really, really powerful for us. And our ability to extend and evolve our services now to include Enterprise Workspace, we now offer a number of pillar of services that can help you and your organization get to the cloud and the business journey that they want to get to, because the cloud isn't the destination. The cloud is just a way to get there. And so if you want a more secure, consistent user experience, along with a more consistent and secure cloud experience, Expedient can help you deliver that. I see some questions out there. Let's jump into one. We have engineers working abroad, such as in India. Are you able to host VDI in the US while providing CAD performance overseas, or will this require a VDI presence within those geographies? So I can at least say from my personal experience in the industry that connecting from India to VDI desktops in the US can be done. The graphics performance is fine. The question is going to be latency, and that is based on carriers and also the physics of the speed of light. You are quite literally around the world from where these desktops are currently located. We could definitely talk through and maybe do proof of concepts to see if this is really a way for you to go forward. But as we look into things like India, there would need to be some additional testing to see if that's really a feasible option and that the user experience is good enough, because I don't want poor user experience. And sometimes these things become outside of our realm, like the undersea cables from India to the US. It's not exactly Expedient's massive power. Not yet, at least, I don't think. If there are no other questions, I do want to thank you all for joining us today. If you want to learn more, please reach out to me. You can go to expedient.com, click that Let's Talk button at the top. We can definitely do proof of concepts. We can do demos. We can help you along this journey. And that's definitely what we want to do. This is a new capability from Expedient that that allows us to give your users a much more consistent user experience and solve those data storage compliance and latency and application performance issues with our full suite of services. Land applications on Enterprise Cloud, land users on Enterprise Workspace, and we can connect them together and eliminate all of the latency and pain. Please join us next week as we talk about the race to the cloud. Mike Fulton will be here from Expedient, along with Mike Walker, who is a senior director of digital transformation at Microsoft, to talk about how the cloud journey can be accelerated with the power of Expedient and Microsoft together. So please join us for that. That'll be on October 14th at 12:30, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.